Alrighty, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Everybody's having a lovely weekend, and with that being said, let's get into the weekly TA. Alright, guys, we're going to kick it off with SPY's weekly time frame, and I am just going to point out you had increasing volume last week, and we are $3 away from 565, which does suggest we probably are just going to be taking that out next week. Coming down to the daily time frame, you can see. All right, we're already above where sellers would have wanted to step in. All right, and from that point, we knew we were likely coming up here to 565. We don't know, the exact path that's going to take, but we do know, ever since this day right here, we're likely going to make our way up there. So that is, why we have remained bullish biased. We're looking for consolidation / a pullback going into Jackson Hole. That was the catalyst of the week. And why are we doing that? Because we had this hourly bearish divergence forming up until, we formed this hourly bearish divergence. So it was right here on this spike right here. That's when I started looking for a pullback. All right. Yeah, it's not always going to be picture perfect. You did have one more spike higher, but again, it just put in these divergences, and you had a triple bearish divergence going on over here on the 15-minute RSI. From that point on, we sold down to 554.87 support, and we did print that bullish divergence down there, which did suggest we are going to be getting a bounce. We also did have a falling wedge pattern going into Friday that we talked about on SPY and QQQ. So, it was no surprise there. So, yeah, honestly, it's not always going to be picture perfect, guys. It's not always going to be like last week, but no, we got it picture perfect. We were looking for a continued rally, and then once we started approaching up here, that is when we started looking for a sell. What did we get? We got our sell. Well, it's sell or consolidation going into that event. We did end up getting it. And guys, you're just pushing back up the highs. Yes, you're selling down, but we were bullish on this pullback. A bunch of things are just above their daily 9 EMAs. So, if you pulled back to test it, it's no surprise that you would have been finding buyers there. All right. So, just a little spoiler alert, we have a lot of things that are looking pretty bullish heading into next week. And I'm just going to also give another spoiler alert here. The focus of this video on my trade ideas going into next week is going to be crypto stonks. All right, guys. So crypto stocks are really set up right now, and I do think they're going to be rallying with the market. And yeah, if the market is going and then you have crypto going, if you have Bitcoin going and then also the market's running, well, they have double the buying pressure. All right, so that is why I'm going to highlight those at the end of the video. So stay tuned because they are absolutely set up to rip, and they already started on Friday. Congrats if you were in those guys. Congrats, you were already swinging them. But there's still some meat on the bone that we're going to talk about. There's actually most of the meat on the bone. But right here, SPY guys, you had the bearish engulfing candlestick followed by a gap up, and now you closed out near the high. I think it's pretty safe to say this thing wants to push up from here. You don't have any bearish divergences. We're telling you guys, hey, we're looking for that pullback to reset some oscillators. We got that on the 15-minute time frame. We got that on the hourly time frame. And now we can run it back up until we form that next divergence. I've been looking for 565.16. I think this week it's going to happen early on. All right, guys. So real talk, hourly time frame. We can clearly see the picture I have here. All right, above 563.17, just look for a straight shot up to 565.16, and that is that. All right, now, of course, to get up to 563.17, you're going to have to get above 562.10. All right, you close right under there. That is going to be your resistance. You clearly see this is, a level of interest here. As support, we have 560.07, 557.29, and 554.87. But, like I said, I am bullish biased. I am going to cover the upside in more detail because that is where I do believe price is it's heading across the board. All right, now moving over here to QQQ. Weekly time frame, guys, we did get that increasing volume on the week. You got that indecision candlestick following that wide body green bar. All right, so it's not the worst look, not the best look. I am just going to point out you were still right here at the 0.786 fib. That is, pretty much exactly where you rejected over here on, Thursday. And you did not recover and close up near the highs like SPY. So, hey, it's not the best look over here on the Qs, but because SPY is looking like that, guys, we can't assume QQ is going to be, moving with that. So, if SPY runs up to all-time highs, QQQ is just going to push above this 0.786 fib at 486.40. From that point, I'm going to say we're likely coming up here to 503.52. All right, so the resistance you're going to be paying attention to, we're going to use the hourly time frame for that. All right, I'm going to take that off. We're going to go right over there. We're going to take that off. And we're going to leave it at, yeah, we're going to leave it at that. All right, guys. So above, I'm going to take this off too. Nah, we'll keep it on. All right, guys. So resistance is going to be 482.73. Above there, 484.43. And above there, I do think we're just going to take out this 0.786 fib, which is going to be at 486.40. And then you probably move pretty quick up to 490.73. Again, guys, as long as no divergences are present, this thing can just keep, shoving it up. All right, just like it was going over here, it just kept going. Okay, massive ripperoonie without really pulling back at all. Okay, $50 move. You just saw this pullback. We didn't see a single pullback here. Whole $50 move, we didn't see a single pullback. This is your pullback. The pullback is a freaking buying opportunity. It's obvious. It's clear as day. So I will, very much so make it super obvious and clear here in this video. All right. Pullback equals buying opportunity. You had a $50 move without a pullback. You had one pullback after this little move. All right. $25 move followed by a $7 pullback. Now I feel like you went a little deeper. $14 pullback. And then you had a $50 rally. You're now just pulling back, guys. Do you really think this thing is not going to have another leg? You had no pullback here. All right. Let's just look at this. This is probably... I'm just saying, all right? And in the end, this probably isn't going to be wave one, okay? In the end, it looks like this. That's wave one. And then you go like that. And then there's 3. There's 4. There's 5. I don't do Elliott wave, but I definitely know, things do like to, they like to go in waves. And that is how that goes. And we're pretty much seeing the first pullback here, and there's a chance it's not even going to be a big pullback, and we're just going to continue higher. And then we get a pullback, and then we get a chance to buy that one. All right, guys. So, clear as day, we are bullish buys. We've made that, extremely obvious here on this channel. But yeah, that is that. Resistance, 482.73, 484.43, and 486.40. Get above there, 490.73. That's what we're watching. Okay. Support is going to be 478.55, 475.55, 473.82. And that is that. All right. And again, same thing. You had that triple bullish diverge going on, as well as this falling wedge going into Friday's, price action over here. So, this was kind of obvious. And, I know you didn't get all the way up here. But at the same time, we have SPY looking pretty immaculate. We have IWM over here also looking pretty immaculate. Let's actually just start off with a weekly time frame over here. I'm going to point out, all right, wide body green bar. This thing looks like it wants to keep going. You're going to need to get above 222. All right, it's technically 221.80, but we're just going to say get above 222. You're coming up here and revisiting the high at 228.82. All right, and I will just mark that. Not 82. 228.63. That's what you're paying attention to up there. All right, guys. So I'm going to take that off. You're just going to use that up there. And we're going to put some new levels on the board here. We're going to take that one off. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep everything as is right here. We're going to take off these lower levels. We don't need them. We do not need them. Why? Because price wants to move back up. All right. So, we were pretty vocal about this being an inverse head and shoulders pattern. We actually had this, I believe we had these downtrend breaks in spine QQ as well. But yeah, it was off the races ever since you got above our little, was supposed to be a supply zone, turned into a demand zone, and then you rocketed. So we said there was the chance that IWM was going to be making a big move off of this Jackson Hole news, guys, if he was going to hint or confirm that there was going to be a rate cut in September. That is going to send this thing flying. All right, that is going to send small caps flying. High risk, tech stocks, they are also in that category that can go flying off the news. IWM is, main contestant over here, or main candidate. You have now pushed up to the 0.786 fib. You found sellers on 220.77 resistance. Get above 222, and we are probably just going to be running up to 228.63. But before that, you are going to have 224.49. All right, guys, so resistance goes like this. You have 220.77 above there, 221.80, above there, 224.89, then 228.63. Okay, support, we have 217.72, 215.85, and 212.25. But, without this thing just closed out the week, I don't think this thing's coming all the way back down here. I really don't. That's just my opinion. DIA, guys, is another thing that just suggests we are going to see everything run back up to all-time highs. All right, so we knew this move was likely ever since this day right here. You just consolidating going into Jackson Hole, and now you have continued your advance on Friday. Increasing volume, you're getting very close to that 413.86 all-time high over here. You are probably going to test that, and that is what I am going to be looking for this week. So target of the week is 413.86, but you know, with how things are looking, it probably has like another leg up and goes a decent bit higher. It either goes like this, okay, or it goes like this, that, one or the other. That's what I'm looking for over DIA. Support is going to be 409.32, 407.37, and 406.14. Okay, resistance 412.01, 413.86. VIX, guys, I point this out. All right, I know how things look sometimes, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm pretty, you know, early to all this stuff. Like straight up, we kind of call out everything before it happens. So you know, nobody should be caught off guard by the things that happen between SPY, QQ, and VIX. It really should not. We cover them every 5 to 6 days a week here on this channel. Point out you had that bullish divergence carving out over here. You did end up seeing that play out. We also pointed out this zone had not been tested. You haven't gone through the zone without getting a reaction. So we were expecting a reaction somewhere in this zone. What better spot to do so than at the very bottom of the zone? Heavily traded zone. Since it's been established, you typically, you know, will not come into it without getting these reactions. You came into it, got a reaction. You came into it, got a reaction. Over here, you got a reaction. You still, I know it doesn't look like it, but you still bounced up from the bottom of the zone, 6% bounce right there because you gapped up the next day. All right, and you came down, reaction. Came down, reaction. All right, got to the top, sold off. Got to the bottom, got bought up. Top, sold off. So, you know, it's very clear. Nobody should have been surprised by these things, all right? And then what we also pointed out is every time VIX gets underneath the daily 9 after these moves, it backtests it, and it usually fails. That is what I thought this was going into this. Well, I pointed out on this day right here, Wednesday. Now we, you know, that is exactly what's happening here. I do think VIX is going to be crushed. It's going to take out this low down here. All right, so I think it's coming underneath 1446, which was the low from last week, and that is that. If that does become the case, that means, you know, the other things are going to be rallying. We're going to see this 1 hour RSI probably get back down here, 15-minute time frame. We do have that bullish divergence. So, hey, all right, we could start the week off with a little pullback there. We'll see how futures open up on Sunday. But, you know, would not surprise me to see a little pullback, continue that consolidation over here in SPY, pull back into here. People think it's dying. All right, it's bear trap, and then you rally on Monday. All right, guys, I do think this thing is probably going to push up in the short term and cover 565.16, take that one out. Let's just look at it this way. It had a catalyst to sell off, you know, pretty decently if it wanted to. It did not. I do think it wants to just keep going where you have one of these things, and the pullback is probably going to come after we take out the high. All right, so, you know, above this high, we could very well, guys, go to 575 and then pull back. And I'm going to remind everyone, this is going to be the same exact setup as you have going on over here, where if you pull back, you know, I know for a fact we were screaming and shouting about it over here. I'm going to do the same exact thing over here. So, you know, just don't get annoyed at me when I do it, but I guarantee it's a coming, guys. Break and retest, my favorite strategy, all right? Well, I'm actually going to say the downtrend break in general is the strategy that I have the most success on. All right, downtrend break into a break of structure in, you know, a bullish manner. And that is typically, that is my favorite A+ setup that I will be paying attention to at all times. Paying attention for. All right, but we are, you know, just setting up for one of those again. So I will just definitely be pointing that out as it happens in real time. So that's that. Now let's move over to these big boys, guys. How are the big boys looking? You got Apple, guys. It's right here at the 0.786 fib. Why did it push back up and test it again? All right, you had a chance to sell 2 days in a row. You tested it and you fell off of it, and now you rallied it for a third day. You've rallied it and tested it for a third day in a row. The thing wants to break up. Daily RSI is not even overbought yet. Thing wants to break up. Thing's going to new high above 237.23. That's my call. All right. Now I don't know, you know, how this path is going to go. Does it happen, early in the week, you break above 228.40 and then you rally? I have absolutely no idea. But what I do know is once you do break above 228.40, you're going to start making your way up there. SPY took a while. Once it broke above there, let's just revisit that chart right now, just so we can speak on that. SPY broke it on, I think it was this day right here. Right here. Okay. And it took, quite a bit of time, a whole week, to just grind sideways, and now it's going to hit it in the second week. So that's 2 weeks to once you got past here to get to all-time highs. So I'm not saying it's just going to happen like automatically right away, but I am saying odds are, favoring that we could run up to here once that level's taken out. Right. So above 228.40, we're paying attention to 230.44. Above there, you have really nothing until 237.23. If you want another level to go off of, we're going to use that one right there, 233.08. Okay, support is going to be 224.48 and 222.27. Microsoft, all right, and I also will point out, pull back to the daily 9, found buyers off the daily 9. I like to see it. We have that look on a lot of these tickers I'm about to show you. Okay, take that one off. We're going to take that one off. Yeah, we'll keep that one on. All right, guys, so Microsoft, how do we close out the week on the weekly chart? Indecision candlestick that did reject the 9 and our zone. That is the zone that we said we needed to get above. Sorry, I always develop the hiccups when I'm talking. I swear. I get them too often. I don't understand it. It's okay. It's all right. Do you guys get the hiccups too? Maybe. But yeah, you're coming back. You're testing the 9. You got underneath that daily 9, and that is not the best look. You reject on the weekly time frame. Now you're back under on the daily time frame. But what I will point out is, this thing really hasn't pushed up to where we were targeting. I think that that next leg, it is coming. All right. And in the end, the target for that is going to be the low of this candlestick, which is going to be 445.66. That is 445.66. Okay. Golden pocket very likely will be tested. You just got to give it some time. It's currently, dancing around. We're going to have to see what happens. I know it looks like it got back under that, but, things aren't going to be perfect, guys. This is probably just, a little pullback before we have that. And that's how I'm seeing it. All right, guys. So resistance is going to be 417.27, 421.78, and 425.85. Support is going to be 413. That is that. Amazon. Same thing, guys. You're just pulling back to the 9. It is, normal, guys. You are going to continuously pull back to that short-term moving average along the way. And those are going to provide your entries because that is reversion to the mean. And, you very often have these advances here that get far away, but then it pulls back. And that is what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh, advance, except to the downside. And then it pulls back. It always happens. Okay. So, if you want to use it, I will be covering it every day. It is just one of my tools that I got in my tool chest. And I like it. Okay. It provides value to me. But yeah, you got back above the daily 9 there. I like how that's looking. We're just going to clean up this chart a little bit. I'm going to take that. All right, guys. So resistance is going to be 182.22. And then you're just looking for sellers in the zone, but really the next spot is going to be 188.65 above that. The low of the zone is 183.70. Support is going to be 176.80, 173.87, and we're going to leave it at that. I don't think you're getting back down here. We're going to take those levels off. Just like that. Oh, yeah. Goog, guys. Goog has not really ran compared to the other one. It's in, that camp just like Microsoft, except it's looking better. And again, it's just like what we just mentioned on Amazon. The thing got above the 9, and it's coming back to test it, and it's holding it. That is a positive look going into next week. All right. What I don't like is this doji candlestick. That is not the best look on the week, but, Goog really has not ran. Okay. I did point out it just had its MACD cross. It literally just crossed. I don't know, I don't know how long this is going to take to play out here, but the target is going to be 175.91 to 178.21. That's the zone that I am targeting for this. And I do think it is going to be hit. And at that point, any positions taken off that downtrend break are going to be, yeah. All right. You're moving and grooving. You're looking real good. And I just want to hit this button for you guys. That was a That's for anybody who killed it this week. I know, there was a downturn in the market. I know there were a lot of people just sitting on losses, but at the end of the day, if you bought time, you sat on your hands, you knew you were good, you knew you were buying things at discount, you just have to wait for things to revert back to the mean at that point. And guys, it's always going to happen unless the market is actually crashing. Okay? You are always going to get that reversion to the mean. All right. I know a lot of doom and gloomers want to come out when things look real bad, but at the end of the day, that is going to be your buying opportunities along your weekly bullish trend. Okay. Bullish. It keeps getting bullish. It doesn't stop. Okay. We're about to take out the high. And once you take out the high, there's a lot of damage that has to be done for the bears to get into control on this weekly time frame, guys. The weekly trend has remained bullish. Okay. It has remained bullish ever since. You broke out of that flag over here or broke above this high, however you want to look at it. You made the higher high in the weekly time frame, and I know you were in that zigzag pattern for a while. You were downtrending. I get it, but now you're back in the uptrend, and you clearly have bulls in control. All right. So once you take out this high at 565.16, you then got to do something like this for bears to really get in control. You got to boom. All right, so that could take some time. You then need to see the pullback into a lower high, and then you need to see the low of that pullback break. That's when you know you are in a bearish weekly trend. Until that becomes the case, guys, we stay buying these dips on these pullback opportunities. And yeah, all right, if you have trouble, remembering that when everything looks all rough and stuff, hey, I don't, okay? Over time, you will also not. But, I definitely will remind you here on this channel consistently when we get those. Okay. But going back over here to Goog, guys, support is going to be down here at not 463, 163.08. You do have 166.70. I'm going to actually take that one off. We're going to make that right there. 165.03 and then 163.08. If you test 163.08, that is where, I think the great buy-in over here is on Goog for that swing up to 175.91. Resistance is 168.47 and 170.97 above there, 175.91. Meta. All right. Now this is one that, hey, all right, I know you're just consolidating up here and on the weekly time frame doesn't look the best. I think this thing is getting ready to have a big green candlestick and on the weekly time frame. I think this is getting ready for a push up. You are consolidating in this zone, except you are holding it this time, and you are holding the daily 9 on your test. I think this thing is probably getting ready for a break up. If you want to, take the low risk entry off of this, it would be right here at the low of the range, as close as possible to 523.86. All right, that's where you keep finding your buyers. That is your low risk entry, because then you can cut. I don't know, whatever you want to use as your metric over there. Hourly close on this level, whatever you want to use. That is how I would go about this thing. And if I do trade it this week, that is how I will go about this thing. All right. Coin and CLSK will definitely be my top watch this week. That'll be my focus for, short term. My game plan is pretty simple for the week. Trim your longs. All right, guys. It's looking like we're going to have another green week just starting up, especially on these Bitcoin stonks. And, yeah, game plan is just to trim current swings. And then, we will be intra-week trading Coin, Mara, and CLSK. That is my game plan there. Just with how things are set up, but Meta is also on that list. It'll probably find its way on the focus list. This kind of looks monstrous, all right? So low risk entry as close as possible, 523.86, and that's pretty much that. Resistance is going to be 531.49, 537.48, and then 542.81. The other play you could make here is just the breakout trade, but with price down here, with how it's setting up, I would say it's much better just to take the low risk entry for the swing instead of trying to momentum trade it once it breaks out the high. As you can see, we keep finding sellers up here, so wouldn't you rather just trim into it and then you have a runner for it? That's how I would like it. So maybe you think like me. Tesla over here, guys, these two paths right here, I made them when we were right here. Okay, I didn't know if we were going to be pulling back or not. My target remains the same over here, 237.06. Okay, not 237.06 exactly, but just this 0.618 fib, 237. I do think it is going to be tested. You were just stair stepping up. Again, you got back above that daily 9. See how you get under it and you test it and you rejected it. Well, now you're finding buyers there. All right. So yeah, take out 226.79. You're probably going to test 233.09 quick, but you probably also test 237, maybe even the same day. So that is something that we could be looking forward to there. On the weekly time frame, how this thing closed on us, again with the doji candlestick, we got a bunch of these going on. But guys, remember, this just had that downtrend break. This thing is queuing up at least for a move into this golden pocket before, you know, it wants to pull back. That's just how I see it. All right. But you also have this little inverse head and shoulders pattern going on here. All right. Let me just point out left shoulder, head, right shoulder. All right. So, you know, you really do have a constructive look over here in Tesla. And, you know, the A+ setup that I was paying attention to was that downtrend break, as well as this break in retail. Like, it really depends. You had two different ones. You had, like, you know, we have 3 levels of confluence here. We have the break and retest off your breakout level. We have the golden pocket test from this whole rally up. You test your golden pocket. Daily RSI on this day was almost, you know, down here. Confluence there. And we also now have a downtrend break. Like, this was where when you were trying to buy the falling knife, well, I mean, technically it's not. Like, you have a reason to be buying here. So I guess not the falling knife. This was your higher risk entry. This was your, I guess this would be the higher risk entry. This was the low risk entry. This is the high risk entry for that setup. But yeah, in the end, up here, that's what we're looking for. Support is going to be 214.71, 208.49. Of course, 220 is right there. All right, but that's kind of just your pivot level. You got to get above that to get above 226.79. Reject there, 214.71. But 214.71 and 208.49, those are your supports right there. Okay, now we're going to go over the chips, guys. Chips. All right. Now, this is one I was debating, just kind of cutting this over here. At the end of the day, I do think you're going higher. But, you know, my target over here for this little push, it has been reached. I thought it was going to be reached over here. I just didn't get to take my profits. But now we definitely have reached that, guys. 250.85 to 255.92. That was in the end where we were looking for price to push up once you broke this downtrend. You did get a straight up move up there. All right. So congrats if you did end up playing that. You very clearly are finding sellers here, but, you know, I'm going to point out on some of these chips, they look like they're going to be rallying. You know, you're stuck between a hard spot and another hard spot. Okay. You got the golden pocket here, supply zone, very clear supply zone, 250.85 to 255.92. Got to get above 255.92 in order to get up here to 264. And when that happens, you probably do take out this 0.786 fib at 265.40, and you're pushing up here to 283.07. All right. Support over here is going to be 247.34 and then 243.29, 239.14 under there. I am just going to jump over here to NVIDIA and point out this thing looks like it is about to explode. I think we are going to be rallying into earnings here. I think you could push the all-time highs before earnings. So you have till Wednesday, 2 days, guys. That means we have to split up this, you know, 7%, 8% right there, 9%. So 4.5% days. I think they're attainable here. I think it's possible. But at the end of the day, I do think NVIDIA is about to beat earnings. And 150 is the target. It's not a target, but I definitely did say when we were over here, this is where I think that it could come post earnings, 150. I think it's going to be taking out the all-time high there. Support, 127.05, 124.69. And then as resistance, 130, guys. That is a spot that you have 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3, kind of 4, but, you know, you didn't test it yet technically, right? So you got 3 rejections. It looks like it wants to snap up. All right. So if it breaks 130, watch for a break of 130, 139. Then you get a quick move up to 136.15. But when you break above 130, we know we're likely heading up to 140.76. Could take some time, or it could happen all this week off earnings. That's NVIDIA for you. Looks like it's going to be dragging SMH up. So that's why I went over NVIDIA first there. Avgo, still just find sellers over here in the golden pocket. It makes sense. Okay. You cannot hold on to these levels over here. You clearly are just getting straight up rejection here at 166.85 resistance. Got to get above there, and then got to get a daily close above 169.13. If you can do that, you probably are going to push above this 0.786 fib. You know, of course, guys, the line in the sand is going to be 173. So if you want to just do what I'm doing with this ticker, sit on your complete hands, all right, and just wait. All right, just wait. You already had the downtrend break. This was the A+ setup to play over here on this chart. Okay. Now you have the bull flag action. If you start breaking above and out, the play, you play the momentum right here. Break above 173, you play for a move up here. Okay, that's how I'm going to approach this thing. That's how, I think the best way to approach this thing is going to be. You are finding buyers at the 9 here. You have a break and retest off of 161.33. Like, I genuinely think this thing looks like it wants to rally. That's why I think SMH is going to be dragged up through that golden pocket there. And I think it is, or through that supply zone, 255, what was it, 255.82? 255.92. I think it is going to get up there and head up here to 264. Why? Because these things all look like they want to break and break up. AMD, what do you got going on, guys? Rejection at the golden pocket, 0.618 fib over there, as well as our 162.51 resistance. Pull back, all right? And you are finding buyers over here stepping in, trying to hold that zone, all right? So that we do know, that is going to be treated as a demand zone for the time being. Daily RSI is very clearly not overbought yet. This thing can get overbought, and I do think that is where it's heading. Downtrend break was the clears they set up to play over here, up to this zone. Now you have hit that, and now you are kind of just consolidating here. I personally, I'm not going to be touching this thing. I don't think there's a reason to. I think we have a lot of better setups to watch on these big boys, and that's that. Okay, but resistance, guys, we're going to call it 157.05 above there. High of that day, 159.84, then 162.51. Support, 153.64. 153.64, 151.01, and 148.78. That is that on AMD. SMCI, I think this is one of the better chip names to be focusing on right now. I think it's getting ready for a snapback. And, you broke out. You had a $60 move from this breakout. Let's be completely real. These breakouts are likely going to bring more than, $60. I think over here, though, it was on. Come on, you stupid magnet. Turn it off. Turn it off. Get out of here. Let me do that. All right. Even over here, yeah, you had a $140 move. Okay. That would be the equivalent of coming, up to 730.01 resistance right there. This is consolidating in a flag-like manner above the 9 DMA over here, or not the DMA, above the 9 EMA. All right. This thing is probably going to be breaking up. I have my alert set there. I'm going to trade this short-term momentum when it comes. All right. I'm considering just kind of entering a dated swing here instead. But hey, okay, above 630, 698, you're probably going to have a really quick move to 671. And then 730 could, even come the same day. You see it over here, okay? A big day is probably right around the corner. $100 day, probably right around the corner. Just got to break out this consolidation. We now have 1 to 1.5 weeks of consolidation here above the daily 9. That is looking so sexy. Support is going to be 595.28, 582.46, and then 547. We're not going to focus on that. We're focused on this resistance because that's where I think it's going. 636.98, 671, 730.01, 762.63. That is ultimately where I think it's heading right here. Okay, first target right here, final target right here. TSM. Golden pocket. We're just going to go over support and resistance. Resistance 171.54, 176.82. All right. Support 167.67, 162.55, 162.65. MU. All right. You are, hitting with consolidation here. Started pulling back here. Got the increasing volume. I don't necessarily like the look. I don't, I told you guys, I think MU is probably the worst looking one. It's been the lagger over here. It's been the one that's, not really setting up for anything. I wouldn't be focusing on it. Just my opinion. Support 102.17, as, was holding on Friday. 97.69 under there. Resistance 105.72. 109.47, 111.34. Arm, guys, pushing up to that zone. All right, this is another one that's, consolidating above that daily 9. Looks like it could get a big move here. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to get up to 152.55. That's where you broke down from over here. That's where I'm going to be targeting. And that's that. Probably not going to touch this thing, though, just because, we have so much other stuff. We have actual setups to pay attention to, not the things that just look like they're going to keep running, but we have actual setups. All right. But yeah, consolidating above the daily 9, 135.41. You are, you closed right above it. I am just going to say it looks like you're going to continue and test 145. That's just my opinion there. Support is going to be 125.98. QCOM. Consolidating right here above the 9. I like the look of that. You got this little range going on here, 170.61. I mean, I guess in reality, it is this right here. Okay. Reality, the bottom of the range, 168.74. And the top of it is going to be this high right here at 174.64. All right. This is a range that is $5.50. If you break above it, you're probably coming straight to 180. You break under it. All right. You're probably coming all the way down here to 163, 164. All right, guys. Now let's talk about what I think, should be our focus right now. BTC USD. Look at this bad boy right here. Look at it go. I pointed out down here when we were in, I said, hey, the bottom is probably in on this day right here. I know for a fact that I pointed it out when it happened. We tested the 0.78, not 0.786, 0.618 fib we tested from this whole rally. All right, things don't go straight up. They don't go straight down. They test their golden pockets. That's what we get pretty consistently. You also held support right over there. Daily RSI was oversold. Solid shot that was going to be putting in a major low. You are now pushing up. All right, you broke out over here. We pointed that one out on this day right here. Hit it with the fake out. And you did it the next day. This thing looks like it wants to run some more. Okay, up to 70K. That is that. On the weekly time frame, all right, you could see we really don't, you don't have anything over here. Okay, so, it very likely could move quickly through here. That is a 10% move on Bitcoin. Above 63,794, we're looking for 70,167. I think it is going to be tested on this rip. And if that becomes the case, these things are going to be going for a ride. We'll kick it off with MSTR. Congrats if you traded this. Trade this in the challenge account. It was a nice guy. Nice guy on the break over here. All right. Above 142.16. I was targeting 150.77. It took the move all in one day. Absolutely beautiful. Came right up here, and you got the golden pocket right above. I think it's probably going to continue on to 159.25 with how this thing just closed out. All right, on the weekly time frame, guys, this looks like it's going to come back to the top of the range. Okay, we have a massive range here, and it is setting up for a big move. It's just like Bitcoin. All right, that's $80. Okay, I'm not saying that's happening, but you break up, it's going to look crazy. Okay, break down, might look crazy. You probably also, you could just stay in the range. Weekly candlestick is bullish, wide body green bar, increasing volume. I know you're pushing into the golden pocket, but you probably do have one more good day before any, real pullback here. If you can get above 166, we're watching for 183.70. That's going to be that. Resistance 150.77, 159.25, 166. Support 142.16. Coin, this is one that I am now going to be focused on. All right, I got like a runner. MSTR. I'm going to be focused on a coin and CLSK. Those are my top watches this week. Why? Because you come over here, we'll actually just start with MARB. I'm going to start with the ones that already ran. All right. I've already played these things. I think, CLSK and coin are the ones that we should be focused on right now. And guys, everything I share on this channel, just my opinion. Keep that one in mind. My opinion, and that is that. Okay. Mara already did start breaking up. So the trade idea that I was, going at over here was a break above 1628. And then you had another one over 1712. And from that point, guys, you have pushed up to, that was like kind of my first target here for this rally was going to be 1878. Why? Because that's where you broke down from, all right? The second spot I'm watching for is going to be 1991. I think we're going to see 20 plus over here this week. And I think it's a good idea to trim into this rally, guys. Take your profit over there. On Mara, this thing has already ripped quite a bit. MSTR has ripped quite a bit. What hasn't ripped quite a bit is coin. Coin, sexy little beast over here, all right? We called this one out on the 0.618 test over here. We called this one out this morning over here. Why? Because daily RSI was in the absolute crapper and it was oversold. All right. So, when you have confluence come together, that was your, dip buy right there, oversold buy. That was how, I see it there. And then here is your momentum setup that you want to go off of. This was the first day of breakout. You could consolidate here and then push up, or you could just start pushing up. So, some time ain't a bad idea in here. But guys, you broke above 207. I'm just going to start taking off some levels here. We're going to restructure this chart. Okay. We're going to keep those on as targets right there. You got to hold 209.80. All right. So best entry possible is going to be a retest of I mean, not best entry possible, but for this momentum trade, your retest where you broke out from, and then you carry on to 223.08. All right. But you also do have 200. Right. So if you can't hold 209.80, your support is going to be 200. At the end of the day, you just broke this downtrend here that was forming for like 2 months, I believe. No, 1 month. It was a 1 month downtrend. Okay. When this thing breaks its downtrends, it likes to go for rides. Okay. They could take some time. They could happen quick. We really don't know with this guy. We really do not know. Okay. But we do know it goes for rides. Okay. It goes for rides. And, you know, if this was what we just got, you got a little breakout right there. Okay, you over the next 2 weeks, you went $40. Well, what if we go $40 here? I will be a happy camper. That'll be that. All right, guys. So premiums are always not the best on coin, but you know, short term, this thing is definitely looking primed for a move up to 237.56. So that is going to be my target here for this rip. All right, the first target is going to be 223.03. 237.56 above there. If things get really crazy, 249.16, you probably do get sellers stepping in there, considering the 0.786 fib is right there. But, you know, I do think 237.56 gets tested on this ripperoonie. Okay, that's that. Top watch right there. CLSK, second top watch right here. Okay, above here, straight shot up here to 1391. I already looked at premiums for us. Okay, September 6th. And guys, if you do just want me to do all this work for you, just in real time every single day and every week, it will be in the Discord. Link is going to be down below. But yeah, things are again, we're on a heater. That is that. All right, I know we suffered some drawdown. All right, everything's back, and now we're just back to being on a straight up heater. And guys, we're in a freaking crazy hot market, and we are looking to take advantage of that crazy hot market. I think CLSK and Coin are, you know, they're primed for this week. All right, above 1243, you have nothing until you come all the way up here to this low over there at 1324. So that would be TP number 1. TP number 2 is going to be 1391. Above there, we're targeting 1503. At the end of the day, I think this golden pocket is going to be tested, which is going to be at 1656. I do think it could get up to $16, but at the end of the day, all right, short-term trade ideas, these 3 levels right here. Okay. You know how I do it, how I mark it out for, you know, the members and stuff. I do it in gray levels. I mean, I do this for myself as well, just to clearly see. Right over here, all right? 1503 is that final target we're looking for. 1324, 1391, 1503. At the end of the day, probably coming up to 16. Okay, we're going to change that level. Yeah, we'll do that. 1677. All right. Last one that I'll say right now is setting up over here out of the miners is going to be Cypher. All right. Now, I'm personally not going to be trading this thing, but I will put it on your radar if you would like to trade it. Very similar set. All right. You got the downtrend break. You're literally just consolidating now. So this is something that hasn't moved yet. It is very likely going to be moving with Bitcoin and all those other guys. Break above 421. You're targeting 445 and then 480. That is your gap right here. Above there, final target, 533. That's that. All right. Now, we got a few other trade ideas going into this week for you. But again, top watch is going to be CLSK and then Coin. Mara is set up to rip higher, but it has already started at a 10% move just with MSTR over there on Friday, on the day. Break and retest off this downtrend over here. This is one that I thought was immediately going to be taken off over here. I thought, you know, you had a one shot, one opportunity kind of thing over here. Now I'm second guessing that one. All right. I don't know how this is going to go out, but, you know, setup is clearly there. Daily RSI was oversold over here. That's, you know, what caught my interest there. You were right over here. You had the false breakdown under that support. Reclaim that. Now you're finding buyers off of 2255. And you were also breaking, retesting that downtrend. So, you know, setup is clearly there. We're going to have to see if you really want to get going here, though. It's probably going to happen. You're probably going to have a big day if it's going to go. All right. So that's that. I think I'm going to get rid of the short-term stuff and just keep some data stuff, because at the end of the day, this thing is probably just going to come back up to around 30. It could take a few weeks, but it is probably going to happen. So I think, so, you know, September 20 expiration, that ain't bad at all. The short-dated one, I definitely will say that is a bit of a gamble there. And yes, that is that. But yeah, levels to watch, guys. You break above 2357, 2483, and then above there 2718. 2843, that's really my ultimate target here for this bounce. I thought it would just be a straight up ripper like we saw these other times. It didn't happen yet, though. We pulled back. But, you know, again, these are the setups. It's not a high quality name, but this is the setup. This is ideally what I would look for on a high quality name. So let's see if it plays out the same. That's that. D-King, we already pointed out, you got above it. Okay, you had the increasing volume on that breakout over there. And guys, above 35.30, you're heading up to 37.81, all right? So just a little update on that trade idea. Now, another update on this trade idea. You did get up to all-time highs. We were bullish on this pullback, guys. You're probably going to find buyers either here. I mean, you're already finding buyers here, but it's either going to put in a pivotal low here, okay? 678.97, under there, 664.50. 639, if that is tested, that's ultimately going to be where that gets held because that's going to be in the golden pocket. I don't think it's going to pull back that much. Now that you made that, you're probably just going to pull back and then continue up. So, you know, something to pay attention to. CRM, it's another one that I'm going to point out. Guys, it's just getting ready, all right? You have this, you know, very narrow body bar here, okay? It is a narrow ranged bar you had on the week. You had increasing... Oh, cool. Cool. Sorry about that. You had increasing volume on the week, guys. You are just pushing into your supply zone, 266.55 to 268.36. If you can get above 268.36, that is when this thing has a ripperoonie. That is when we have the short-term trade at our disposal up to 277.46 and then 284.26. And then if things really get nuts, 293.77. But you break out of this range here, break above 268.36, you have this move right here that you could look forward to, and you're probably coming somewhere up here. All right, guys, so that's what I have for you guys today in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the weekly update. I know they're a little bit longer. It is because we, you know, prepare for the upcoming week. We got to talk about things in depth. So we're, you know, all good and ready to go, ready to take advantage of the opportunities the markets are blessing us with. All right, there are always going to be opportunities out there, guys. Do not just keep sitting there trying to press buttons, because at the end of the day, if there's no setup, then you are just doing exactly that. You're pressing buttons which do not put odds in your favor, and that is not something that will work long term. So don't do that. Keep approaching the market like this each week, and I think you will have a I think you will find success in the market if you take the approach that I, you know, have kind of outlined in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, if you did enjoy it, please remember to leave a like. If you have anybody that you know would enjoy or, you know, find these useful, please feel free to share the video with them. I would appreciate that. It would help us grow our little corner of YouTube here. And with that being said, guys, all right, I'll catch you down below. Well, I'll catch you in the next one. I was going to say the Twitter link is down below. I'm going to be posting some charts today on some of these hot setups I'm seeing. And you could stay tuned for that. Catch y'all in the next one. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.